Go ahead and come into a forward fold for a first assessment. Just notice what it feels like if you're in the front foot or the back of the foot, what the back of your knees feel like, back of your neck. Take an inhale into the front of your body. Exhale into the back of your body. Start to let your tail come down into the floor and lengthen all the way up into standing. Grab either a tennis ball or a smaller ball if you have it. I'm going to be using a small ball. Take the small ball underneath your left foot and just start to step into it and then start to come out. Step into it and come out. Just go anywhere you'd like around the foot. If you'd like to also trace around it while you step in it, you can do that too. Trace around it, step in it. Trace around it, step in it. Getting to know your foot really. And if there's a tendency to look down at the floor, just see what it feels like to look more on your horizon. Get underneath the toes and step in. Underneath the toes and step in. Just getting a sense of how the ground really comes to meet you as well. And then if it's in a place where it doesn't feel very nice, avoid that place and go where it feels really nice, but just keep that place in mind. And come back to neutral. Come back into a forward fold and just notice what you notice. Is there a difference? Back of your knee, the back of your neck, back of your head, somewhere else. Let your tail lengthen to the floor and roll up to standing. Let's do the other side. Let your foot roll around on the ball before you start to step in. It's a sense of security, of investigating, being curious. Where do I want to let my foot step in? When we think about our feet, there's so many receptors on the bottom of our feet, so we're just tapping into those receptors. And that's why using our eyes is not needed here, because we're building our eyes on the bottom of our feet. Especially somebody that hikes in Colorado, I have to look down at the floor because there's a lot of rocks. But how can I build that receptor by doing this exercise? It's actually different. Go underneath the toes a little bit. Investigate how you can either grip the ball or let the ball go, lengthen your toes. Go in places that it feels good. Places that it doesn't feel good, we're just keeping an eye on it. Letting it know that we still care and appreciate that it's working so hard. And soft feet is a soft back. And if you have cranky knees, that it's just on cranky and uneducated toes. Come to neutral, please. Just notice what it feels like to stand again. Come to a forward fold. You can keep your knees bent if you need to. Yeah, that's very different. Take an inhale into the front of your body. Exhale into the back of your body. Almost like there's water coming from the pelvis to the back of the head. Inhale, water rushes up the front of the legs, into the front spine. Exhale over the back spine, over the back head. 2 more breaths before we move on. Start to bend your shins forward. And if you don't know what that means, that's okay. Bend your shins or bend your knees. Take your hands on your shins. And then just bend your shins into your hands. And just notice that your butt's now coming to the floor. And then let your shins start to straighten you. Bend your shins into your hands and let your shins straighten you. Bend your shins. And let's change it up. Then this time let the top of your feet be something you press into to straighten your legs. Bend your shins. Then press the tops of your feet into the floor to straighten your legs. Bend your shins. Press the tops of your feet into the floor. Bend your shins. Tops of your feet. Couple more rounds. Notice how the weight of your heel comes into the floor when you bend your shin. And press to the top of the feet. Comparison, if we bend the knee, do you feel weight in your shin? I don't. We want to feel weight in our heel because it gives us a sense of our back working with our feet. So press the tops of the feet into the floor. And then bend your shins forward. And then notice the weight of your heel. And that feels different on my back. So when in walking, also, we're bending our shins forward to walk. Bending our shins forward to walk. And then extending through our toes. Okay, so let's come up into standing. And we'll feel what it feels like to bend the shin forward and push with the toe. Bend the shin forward, push with the toe. When we do that, it gives our back something to hinge with because our toes are hinging, our shin and knee are hinging correctly, so our back can hinge. And that's exactly what we just worked with in session 2, was lengthening through your extensor flexor group in your leg to give your back a low hinge. Or in Rolfing, we call it the lower dorsal hinge. That's why when you got off the table, your back was like, oh, wow, that's amazing. And my feet feel light. Okay, so let's come into standing. Take one foot back behind you. And the leg that is behind you, let that shin bend down. And then press to the top of that back foot off the floor so that you can press into your toes. Bend the back shin. It's almost like you're coming into Tai Chi stuff. But you're using your joints correctly. So bend your back shin forward so then you can come onto the top of the foot and press with your toes. And then really push with your big toe and feel what you feel underneath your belly. Then bend with your back shin and come back down. Keep an eye on what you're feeling in your front foot as well. Bend your back shin and come onto your front toes. Your front foot should be receptive to the floor rather than grabby. And then bend your back shin and come back down. Switch sides. This is practice for walking. When we walk, we really don't think about things, but this actually helps our spine engage properly. So bend your back shin, top of the foot comes forward, toes press, so you can feel your spine extending and reaching. Bend your back shin, your heel comes down, you feel your toes. Bend your front shin, come up. Bend the back shin, come down. Bend the back shin, start to extend up, press to the tops of the toes so that you can extend to the front of your spine. And then the back shin bend so the heel can come down softly. One more time. It's just a rock back and forth. This is what walking does look like. This is the action of walking. It's just a reminder. Couple this on each side. It's a reminder through your whole hinges of how they work together across joints, and can start thinking of, how do my toes work with the low back? How does my knee start to work with the inside of my chest and my head? How can that start to be a relationship? If you want to start adding an arm and reaching the opposite arm up over the head and really stretching. Just an option. So can't see me, but I'm like reaching. One more round on each side. Good. Notice how you can add this to a part of your movement routine through going through the Rolfing process, and I'll see you through session 4 through 7.